Say hello to Stu Bergier. Hello, Stu.
Let's do that. Hi, Stu. How are you?
He's great. I hear he had a great weekend, and that's pretty much all we care about. And then we have Jason Buttrill here, who is our chief researcher and travel companion lately. He's almost like a Viking cheerleader for me lately.
Let's not go that far. Come on.
He's off to the side. You go. Just keep going, girl. Anyway, Stu, I'd love to hear. I've been waiting to hear your response to what's happening with Donald Trump and Putin, and then we'll get into the meeting that's going to go today. But what was your take on Putin in Alaska?
Can I start with the media?
Sure.
Before the meeting, the take from the media that I received for every single hour until we got to the meeting was that Donald Trump loves dictators, loves Putin, is being taken by Putin, is going to give Putin whatever he desires, and we're going to make some terrible deal that is going to show the American way is gone. He's just a sort of a fully owned subsidiary of Mother Russia, right?
Sure.
So then they come out, and he has the press conference, and Putin says we have a deal, and then Trump says, well, we don't have a deal until we have a deal, and goes through multiple times during his, while he's very complimentary to Putin, as both sides were, goes through several times where he specifically points out that we do not have a deal. And then I go back to the coverage. I'm listening to, I don't know, maybe it was CNN, one of the cable news networks covering this.
One of the things that nobody watches anymore. Yes, go ahead.
And they are immediately switched their position to, can you believe this? Trump organized this big meeting with Putin and then couldn't get a deal done. It's a failure. We don't know what's going to come out of this, but we can say he failed. He wanted to get a deal. He didn't get a deal. And it's like, you can't have both of those positions. You can't say he's going to get a deal no matter what because he loves dictators and he loves Putin. He's going to give him everything. He's going to hand over all of Ukraine. And then the second that doesn't happen, you switch to the exact opposite position, which is he didn't give enough. He didn't know how to negotiate the deal. He didn't come up with the deal. You can't have both of those positions. And the most frustrating part about this is at some point in the next 6 months, there will be another story which makes them take the first position again as if it didn't already completely fail. And then they will not acknowledge any of the switches that they've made. It's infuriating to me.
I am so glad to hear you say, because that was the biggest thing to me. The guy cannot win no matter what happens. No matter what happens. Nobody could say one nice thing about anything. Did you hear the argument about the red carpet? He rolled out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin. Well, we didn't have a green one. Okay, we didn't have one of another color. I'm sorry. Which carpet would you like to use? We have one. It's red. I just cannot take all of this. And, to say that Vladimir Putin, he won on the world stage. Go ahead, Vlad. Use those videos of you and Donald Trump walking down the red carpet. It looked like you and Dorothy, you know what I mean? And you were a munchkin, and Donald Trump was Dorothy. He looks like a giant compared to Vladimir Putin. And then I know everybody has played this. It was just so satisfying. Could we please play the B-2 bomber flyover? I mean, and Donald Trump planned every bit of this. Every bit of this was under his direction. Play the B-2 bomber. So there they are walking on that red carpet. And here they come screaming across the sky. Now, in my head, this is how I see this. Donald Trump's planning this whole thing. He's like, and I want the podium there. We're going to be walking from the plane to the podium. And at that moment, before we get to the podium, I want that B-2 bomber. Is it B-1B?
B-2.
B-2. I want that B-2 bomber just flying right over our head. And the military was like, oh, thank you, Mr. President. Yes, we can do that. And Putin kind of stumbles a little bit and then looks up at it. I mean, it's cool. He knows he's not being bombed. But if that wasn't if that wasn't by the way, welcome to Alaska. You're on our territory. Did you also notice what the podium said at the bottom? Alaska 2025. Not the U.S., not, bilateral meeting, nothing. Alaska 2025 in red, white, and blue. I don't think Putin won on this one. Now, here's Putin in the meeting. Here's Trump and Putin. Putin teasing an end to the conflict in Ukraine. Cut 2.
Me and President Trump have built a very good, businesslike, and trustworthy contact. And I have every reason to believe that moving down this path, we can come, and the sooner the better, to the end of the conflict in Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Now, Trump follows it with cut 3, please.
I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on, most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll, of course, call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up to them. They're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and some of the great people from the Trump administration who've come here, Scott and John Radcliffe. Thank you very much.
First of all, can I just say, he got on the plane and in the middle of the night, he's calling the world leaders. After all of this, he's calling the world leaders. I'm tired just watching the guy. Can anyone else give him credit for just, he's like a nuclear power plant. The guy never, ever stops. I've never seen a president work this hard. I mean, I know other presidents, and I'll give it to, Barack Obama and everything else, but I have never, and if you're honest, and you don't vote the same way I do, but you're honest, you would say the same thing. I've never seen anyone go this hard all the time. He doesn't seem to sleep. So he gets on the plane and he starts calling the world leaders. Now, today, Germany, Meloni, Prime Minister from Italy, France, England's Prime Minister, who else is coming in? And Zelensky. Has anybody ever seen that happen before? The President of the United States says, hey, by the way, guys, I think we should all meet at the White House. Come to my house. We're going to have a little meeting. And they all show up. I mean, again, you have to just, if you're honest, recognize the history here. This is historic. I have never, maybe since FDR, I have never seen the United States call world leaders together and say, hey, we all have to meet. The UN, I can see them all meeting at the UN. But this is the United States taking her position in the world back. This is the United States saying, yeah, we don't follow anybody else. We don't follow the UN. We don't need the UN. We don't need anything else. We're the leader in the world, and we're taking the leadership position. So why don't we all get together? Now, there's the press, again, saying, well, you know why? They're all coming because he's going to be a bully on Zelensky. Oh, God, would you shut up? It is, honestly, it is like the press. It's if we hired Mrs. Olson's third grade class to be the press. The charges are so infantile over and over and over again that I just can't take it. So, what does he say? Now, it was interesting to hear what he just said in that clip where he said, we've come up with some things. We don't have a solid deal yet, but we've come up with some things that if we can get them done would be very, very good towards peace. One of those things, and I think it was it Besson? Who was it that said that we have an Article 5-like agreement? Witkoff? So Witkoff was on, I don't know, one of the Sunday shows. And he said, we have an Article 5-like agreement. Well, that is game-changing. Let me just explain what Article 5 means. Article 5, in case you don't know, Article 5 is part of the NATO treaty. And that's the part of the treaty that says an attack on one is an attack on all. That's the reason why Russia does not want Ukraine to be part of NATO. Because if there's ever a skirmish at the border and Russia attacks, that means it's world war automatically. Now, we've never had to invoke Article 5. I don't know at this point if Article 5 means all that much, means what it used to mean, but at least it is an official treaty. This is why Putin did not want NATO there, because it's a gateway right into Russia for NATO. So he's like, no NATO countries. I want a buffer between NATO and Russia. If Donald Trump did indeed get Putin to agree to Article 5, that means the peace is guaranteed by us. This last 5 years, and then all of a sudden there's war. We have this Article 5 hanging around our necks. I'm not thrilled about that. But that is a huge concession that everyone should recognize. If Putin gave that up, that's enormous, enormous. Here's my guess on what Donald Trump has. He said, you have to accept an Article 5. I'm going to try to convince them to say Crimea is over, okay? And except for Israel, this is the way the world works. You win something in war, and they take it, and then it's yours. It's yours. The winner gets that land. Only the United States has given the land back that we have conquered, because we're not a conquering nation. Russia is a conquering nation, okay? They won that in the war. Barack Obama did nothing. That's over. Was it a mistake? Yes. You want to complain? Don't complain to Donald Trump. Call Barack Obama. So I think that's off the table. And the Donbass area, is right now, and if you listen to them, what Putin has been saying is he wants all of this all the way into Crimea, or into Kyiv. He wants all this territory. But if you listen to the language now from both sides, what Putin and Zelensky are both saying now, which is new, is maybe just the occupied territory goes to Russia. So not anything new, not anything in dispute, just where they have their troops and it's occupied. That's about half of the Donbass region, correct, Jason?
Yes.
About half. So that's about half, which would be the buffer zone that Putin has been wanting. He wants a buffer zone between NATO, Article 5, and Russia. So you give him that. The rest of it goes to Ukraine. It's a reasonable ending to this thing. Now, we could just go with the press and say that's either too much for Russia or not enough for Ukraine, or, we have to have all of it back. None of those things are going to work, which means you're just going to have more and more war. Do you know that there were 20,000 Russians, according to the U.S., that were killed last month? 20,000 people died. So if you remember, Vietnam was 55,000 people died? 55,000. 20 last month. I don't know. I think it might be in the best interest of all of us as humans to end this war if we can come up with a reasonable thing that both sides agree to, but both sides are going to have to give stuff up. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. This is the closest we've been on this one for a while. All right, let me tell you about our sponsor. Then we'll come back. More on this. This is pretty much what we're going to be talking about all day today. Let me tell you about Rough Greens. Unfortunately, dogs, especially as they start to get older, are far more susceptible to cancer than we are. One of the biggest reasons is the stuff we're putting in their bowls. You know, our dogs were healthier when they would eat table scraps. I find that hard to believe, but it's true. They were healthier when we would feed them what we were eating. Now we give them this dog food that has been packaged, it has been processed, it's been cooked. It's such high temperatures so it can last on a shelf for 2 years. And it's not healthy for you. You would never feed that to your child, ever. You wouldn't feed it to yourself. You wouldn't feed that to somebody you don't like. Why would you feed that to your dog? It's dead. What you have to do, the basic, is put all of the live nutrients back in that have been lost through the high heat processing. You need the natural enzymes, the vitamins. You need the probiotics. Rough Greens is not a dog food. It's that bridge that helps take and put everything in that has been cooked out of all of your dog's food. Get a free Jumpstart trial bag for your dog today. It's a $20 value. You'll get it for free. You just cover the shipping. I'm telling you, you'll see a huge difference in your dog. At least I did. Stu did. Pat did. Everybody I know who's tried Rough Greens with their dog, they swear by it because you'll see a difference in the energy and really the clear eyes and the coat and everything else. Roughgreens.com, promo code Beck. RUFFgreens.com, promo code Beck. Go there now. 10 seconds and back to the show. Right now, cut 4. Here's cut 4. Listen to this.
Critics of President Trump will say the pomp and circumstance, the red carpet, the warm handshake, that President Trump simply lost that Putin gained there just by being on the world stage and walking down a red carpet with the president. Your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, critics of President Trump are always going to find something to criticize. You don't even pay attention to it anymore. But I will tell you this. Putin is already on the world stage. He's already on the world stage. The guy's conducting a full-scale war in Ukraine. He's already on the world stage. He has the world's largest tactical nuclear arsenal in the world and the second largest strategic nuclear arsenal in the world. He's already on the world stage. When I hear people say that, oh, it elevates him. Well, all we do is talk about Putin all the time. All the media's done is talk about Putin all the time for the last 4 or 5 years. That doesn't mean he's right about the war. That doesn't mean he's justified about the war. Put all that aside. It means you're not going to have a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine. You're not going to end a war between Russia and Ukraine without dealing with Putin. That's just common sense. I shouldn't even have to say it. So people can say whatever they want. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to get the Russian side to agree to things that they don't want to agree to if we're going to have peace. If not, there'll just be a war. They'll keep killing each other, and life will go on in America and in the rest of the world, but not for Ukraine.
Can I tell you something? We're going to continue our conversation in a minute, but when did little Marco become this guy? He is doing an incredible job. I am stunned by Marco Rubio. Every time I see him, I'm like, wow, look at this guy go.
This is Glenn Beck.
All right, our sponsor this half hour is PragerU. So PragerU is upstairs right now. They're preparing for another shoot. I shot all day yesterday. We're doing something for PragerU on history for the schools all across America. And it's really, really good stuff using original articles, original artifacts. But they've just done an amazing job. I am so impressed with PragerU. And here's one reason why. My kids don't listen to me. My kids listen to PragerU. My kids will come to me and go, Dad, did you know? And I'm like, yeah, I helped PragerU on that one. Yeah, so I know about that one. Our kids watch this stuff. It is so solid. Now, this is a non-profit organization. You want to make an impact on the next generation. Right now, they have some donors that are matching you dollar for dollar. If you'd like to support history and education and the Republic, make a donation this month. We've already made a donation. Tanya and I made a donation. Mercury One has. PragerU.com/Glenn. PragerU.com/Glenn. Matched dollar for dollar this month.
Sign up for the free email newsletter at glennbeck.com. Get every story we talk about every day.
Welcome to the Glenn Beck Program. This is a really hard road to navigate because I am not a Putin apologist. I think Putin is an absolutely evil guy. No ifs, ands, or buts. I think he's a guy who looks at the Cold War and says, wow, that ended the wrong way. I mean, he has said those words. He believes in, the former Soviet state. He is a dictator. He is bloodthirsty. He is a killer. So I want to make sure that everything that needs to be said about Vladimir Putin is said, because he is a rattlesnake a good pet? The answer is no. That's what everybody says. The actual answer is yes, as long as you never forget it's a rattlesnake. The minute you start treating it as a pet like a puppy dog, you're dead. So, is Putin somebody you can negotiate with? Yes, as long as you always remember he's Vladimir Putin. But I think, well, Jason, give me your view on Vladimir Putin and this whole situation.
Vladimir Putin, I believe, I agree with you. I think that it's very rare in the world to have someone that sees the interests of their country and they're willing to take certain steps to ensure that their country is taken care of. And what I mean by that is willing to just invade a country over it, willing to, be a bloodthirsty killer over it. That's rare. It's even more rare to have the cartoon villain as a leader, like
Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un is a total cartoon character.
Yes.
It's also very rare for a country to ignore geopolitical laws and rules like a Hitler and go off and just try and, conquer an entire continent. That is also very rare. Most of the people fall in line of someone like, not sure the type of leader. Basically pick 90% of the leaders out there. They're willing to go so far. Putin is willing to go those extra few steps, but he's not a cartoon character. So what you can always expect from Vladimir Putin is he is willing to do the things to ensure the safety of his country from however he sees it fit.
And him.
Which is also a dictatorial regime.
Correct.
The regime.
Correct.
Willing to...
Correct.
So that's... There's ways that you can predict how this is going to go based off of those rules.
So
and that's always in my mind.
When you're looking at this, how do you think this is going to go? What do you think we end up with, if anything?
So I think that Vladimir Putin initially wanted to just take all of Ukraine because that solved most of their issues.
Yes.
That keeps NATO out. That keeps... Yep. If you look at a map, the border of Ukraine and Russia is just a couple hundred miles from Moscow. Mm-hmm. So for us, in our own perspective, that's like accepting nuclear weapons in Havana. Mm-hmm. That
it's not
can't
even
happen.
that. It's like New Jersey.
Exactly. Right. So it was a geopolitical, paramount for him to take Ukraine. He failed at that. So now what he's looking at, I need some kind of buffer so armies can't go through Ukraine, NATO armies can't go through Ukraine and get to Moscow in an hour. He's got to do that. So what he's building here, I think, is that now he's established a buffer. Now what he's looking for is an excuse to give to his people. Look, he'll say the special military operation. That's what he loves to call it. It succeeded. We have our buffer zone. I can claim victory for you, his people. Now, he also has to leave open for the Europeans and for Ukraine is a way to also say, we won. We stopped him. He did not take Ukraine. If both sides can do that, and I think we're getting hints that we're getting close to that, the Article 5 security.
If it's real,
If it's real, that's big.
Yes.
Zelensky saying, you can't have territory that you haven't already conquered, as you pointed out.
Yes.
That's an interesting hint. That
Correct.
means that he might be willing to accept Crimea going their way and other of those areas providing that buffer zone needs.
And there is a new poll out that shows from Ukraine that the Ukrainians don't want to give any land back. But Stu, who is so good at reading polls, that's not exactly what it says, is it?
Yeah, the poll actually is they don't want to give up more land that has already been occupied. That's where the 78% comes in. And I think that's going to be a problem because, Putin seems to want additional land, including like these two cities that are, central to the defense of Ukraine. So that is going to be a real problem in the negotiations, whether they can parse that through or not. I don't know.
if they're not occupied. That I think that's where Trump is trying to push them.
I agree.
You keep the land you already have occupied.
I think that's where Trump is trying to push him. I think
that's
there's
where the people right?
I think Ukraine would, a lot of different parts of this negotiation have to go a specific way, but I think there's a world in which Ukraine accepts that. The problem is, at least at this point, Russia seems to be asking for more than that. They seem to be asking for multiple cities and areas that they do not currently occupy. They want that entire Donbas region, which would include
I don't
land
think that's
they don't
reasonable.
have. I agree.
And that's absolutely what Putin wants. If you look at a map, he wants the area from right where you see Belarus and Ukraine connect.
Yeah.
He would love to have that area all the way down the coast to Crimea because that's the full buffer zone. That's what he's going to push for.
Right, but I don't think that's reasonable to add. That's where Marco Rubio's like, everybody's going to have to give up something.
Yeah.
And, I think if Ukraine can live with, they conquered this land, they're in this land, and we're just drawing a line there. I think Putin should be willing to accept that. It's not what he wants, but he would be willing to accept that because it does give him the buffer zone, does it not? If he just keeps the conquered land.
That he has now?
Yes.
It's not the full buffer zone that he would like, but it is a buffer zone.
Yeah. Nobody's going to get everything that they want. And I think the polling shows that is seemingly acceptable to the Ukrainian people, that if you're occupying it right now, you got to keep that. We can live with that. And then Ukraine gets the Article 5, which is what they said. That's what started this whole thing. They wanted protection from Russia, and they wanted to join NATO. The reason why they wanted to join NATO is because they wanted the Article 5 protection. If Russia comes in, then that triggers NATO to come in and fight the war against Russia. That keeps them at bay. So Ukraine, at a very high cost, gets that. Russia, at a very high cost, gets most of what they want in the buffer zone. That's a reasonable ending.
Right.
Agree or disagree?
No, I agree. And it also sets, and this is far from over. So let's say there's some guarantees that last for 5, 10, whatever years, how many ever years. Both sides are going to be looking to play the Chinese perspective on this. And I say Chinese perspective because if you look at how they treated Taiwan, the Chinese reluctantly gave up Taiwan. And we were involved providing security guarantees,
correct,
providing weapons, things like that. That's how both sides have to be looking to play the long game. You give this up, you make concessions now. In the long run, the discussion is still open. Things may happen. You can play your little games, all that. You can look towards maybe taking that land in some way in the future. But this is what you accept now and set up this game of chess for longer. And now at least you're not losing 1.5 million people.
Stu?
First of all, I have two things. First, can we ask a question? Do you guys believe, are you confident in the idea that Vladimir Putin has accepted this pseudo Article 5 opposition? I have not heard him say that. And until I hear, because I've heard Trump officials say it, but I am skeptical that he's actually agreed to this. I just haven't heard him until I hear him say it.
So when I played, could you play that Trump sound that we played, cut 3? Listen to what he says carefully.
We had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on. Most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway.
Stop. I think that's the Article 5 thing. We've made a lot of headway. We have some things where we've made agreements, and then we really made some headway. We haven't really gotten there yet. I think that's what he's talking about is the Article 5. And then one of his spokespeople come out and say, it's Article 5. We're willing to do the Article 5 thing because that's Trump speaking it into existence. He didn't say it with Vladimir Putin standing next to him because they're still working on it. And I'm sure Vladimir Putin or somebody else is going, no, I'm not really sure about that. And so he has one of his people floated out there to see the reaction and speak it into existence. Because I think that is, if he can get that done, if he can get Russia to accept that, that's enormous. Enormous.
Yeah, that would be enormous.
I'm of the opinion, yeah, it would be. And I'm of the opinion that Putin has agreed to that in some way because Putin is very quick to put these things down, especially to his own people, especially if he thinks that he's going to lose public opinion within Russia with ordinary Russians. And he has not done that yet. So that's a huge signal to me. Plus, I personally think that line from Donald Trump is about territorial concessions. I think that is the major sticking point on this. And that's what he's going to have to go back and forth with the Europeans today and Zelensky on. What are you willing to concede territorially? Because that's what this is all about.
Do you know enough about where everybody's going to come down? I mean, I'm sure Maloney is going to come down with Trump. Germany probably will come down with Trump. No?
Probably not. It's very hard to predict on the European side because they have more skin in the game on this.
I know.
It's a very different argument with them.
But if you can get the Article 5, that's what they've been wanting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is such a huge concession. It's weird because you know what the press is going to say. If he gives up land and we have the Article 5, and he gets that deal done, the press is going to call him Hitler and Neville Chamberlain at the same time.
I don't know how that works, but yeah.
He'll be like, it's Hitler and Neville Chamberlain. How? But they will make that case. Back in just a second, let me tell you about Good Ranchers. Every time you fire up the grill, you're making a choice. You're making a choice where you can either support the billions of pounds of foreign meat that is coming into this country, meat mysteriously stamped product of the U.S. In fact, we should talk to, who would that be? Who runs the USDA? Is that under RFK? Because that's food safety. That should not be that. You should not be able to put that little flag on beef that is coming from elsewhere. You shouldn't be able to do it, but they do it anyway because it's a loophole. So you can't trust that that's coming from America. And the reason why is, A, you want to know exactly what's in your beef. You want to know that it is 100% born, raised, and harvested here in the United States, because that is really, really important. Not only because of the quality, but also because we have to have these ranchers and farmers. Why are we, so to speak, farming this out to other countries? It makes no sense. We have to have our own food supply. So here's what I would like to recommend that you maybe do. Go to Good Ranchers right now, goodranchers.com. See what everybody is talking about. See why this is a better deal for you. Shop American meat that you can trust. That's fish, that's seafood, all top quality. And if you use the promo code Beck today, you're going to get $40 off plus free meat for life. Check this out. It's at goodranchers.com. Use the promo code Beck and you get that $40 off plus the free meat for life when you start a new subscription. It's goodranchers.com. Goodranchers.com. Welcome to the table.
This is Glenn Beck.
Well, you can lock your doors, you can install cameras, you can install alarms and motion lights, but the most valuable part of your home isn't sitting outside for someone to break into. It is sitting inside a database online, just waiting to be stolen. All cyber criminals need is a few keystrokes to forge your name and transfer your title, and suddenly you're fighting to prove that the home you spent your entire life paying for is actually yours. And here's the part that catches most people off guard. It doesn't matter if you've paid off your mortgage or if you're still sending in that check every month. I mean, honestly, you're more of a target if you've paid off your mortgage. To the scammers, it's just a piece of paper. And to you, it's your future. It's the financial legacy that you've worked your whole life to hopefully hand over one day to your kids. But imagine the sickening moment when you find out that someone else has filed a claim against your property. I mean, it's not just an inconvenience. It is a legal nightmare that can drain your savings, trash your credit, and put your family into limbo while you scramble to untangle everything. That's why protecting your home's title isn't about, being paranoid. It's about being smart, and it's about recognizing that digital threats are just as real to the guy than the guy that's going to break into your garage, maybe even more so. Because the truth is, your home's title isn't locked. It is open unless you have Home Title Lock. Go to HomeTitleLock.com. HomeTitleLock.com right now. Use the promo code BLAZE. HomeTitleLock.com. The promo code is BLAZE at HomeTitleLock.com.
Welcome to the Glenn Beck Program. So I don't know if you saw this tweet that came out a few hours ago from Donald Trump. It just says Bella, B-E-L-A. Now, a lot of people are saying it was just, typo or whatever. I don't think, because we are indeed members of the press, I don't think we can leave it there. I think we need to figure out what exactly he was doing there. What Bella? What does he mean by that? Well, I went to work early today while you were still asleep. It's a given name of a Hungarian composer. Bella somebody or other, Bartok, I think. He's a composer. And maybe he's making something about Hungary and composers. I don't know. It also, in some Slavic languages, Bella means white. Now are we getting a little closer? Mainstream media. It's white in the feminine form, which, look at his wife. Slavic, right? Feminine. Maybe this was secret code. Unleash the hounds. Let her write the letter and send that. I don't know. Portuguese, it means beautiful. Now, it could also be maybe he was like belated, and then he stopped writing, and he was like, no, you know what, I'm going to wait. We'll do that later. So maybe he was going to do belated, and maybe he was going to mention, who else is B-L-A, B-E-L-A, Bela Lugosi. It might have been, hey, belated condolences on Bela Lugosi's death. And he just decided, I'm just going to put B-E-L-A on there and everybody will figure it out. I'm just saying, where's the press on this one? Where's the press on this one? Stu, can we go back to that poll that you had just a few minutes ago?
Sure.
Where do they stand on Crimea? Where do the people in Ukraine stand on that?
Well, I mean, the people of Ukraine are not excited about of anything, making anything official, right? So the poll shows that what we were talking about before, the idea that Russia would get lands they don't currently even occupy, right? That's what Putin wants. The Ukrainian people overwhelmingly opposed to that, 78-15. When it opens up to what they do occupy, which would include Crimea and include these other regions, the lines of the war right now, official occupation they are overwhelmingly still against, though less so, 68-24. So they oppose officially recognizing Russia has these territories. When it comes down to whether they're okay with it de facto, like not admitting that it's happened, but it kind of like the way Crimea is right now, essentially, where Russia runs it, but they don't necessarily admit it, that they're pretty split on. It's 48-43. That seems to be the line where they are, at least as far as the people.
That's a big nuance on that. And would Putin accept a non-official agreement?
Glenn Beck.